she is the one who really let me know that it was okay to write that kind of novel. And so I still always think about her and will always be thankful for her writing from now on. B.B. Moore Campbell wrote a book called Your Blues Ain't Like Mine. That still is my all-time favorite novel.
Yes, I love that book, too.
Yes. And so, she's my inspiration. Unfortunately, she's gone. She's not with us anymore. I'm always saddened by that. But the two of them, always stick out in my mind. And then I absolutely love Barbara Delinsky. And I love her work because it's like here I am, an African-American woman writing stories, but many times her stories are like mine because they're always about conflicts within a relationship or with a mother and a daughter or, the obstacles that just anyone might go through on a daily basis. And that's what I'm always trying to do is focus on real-life social issues and just putting it in a fictional format.
Right. And I have to agree with you when you were talking about Terry McMillan. I think she opened up a new doorway for new type of writers because of the type of prose that, like you were speaking of, gave you a different way of looking at things and presenting it. So I definitely have to agree with you on that. Most definitely. So what impact do your endeavors, as far as what you've been doing, your speaking and the different types of situations that you choose to put into your books, what type of influence do you want that to have on your audience?
I mean, I definitely want it to always be positive, even if the storyline is usually, of course, it's always something with conflict, and there's always consequences for people making bad choices or, doing something that they just really have no business doing, or they're hurting someone regardless of what that might be. I'm always hoping that people will look at those characters and think, wow, that's not something I ever want to do, and I don't want to follow that path. I don't want to end up having to deal with those kinds of consequences, and I do want to treat people right. And so that's my hope, and that there will be some sort of message. And not even just if you're learning something yourself, but that you might learn something that might allow you to help someone who may be going through what one of the characters is going through. I'm always hoping for that as well.
Very good, very good. And I have to congratulate you on being conscious of the content that you want to put into your books, because I think when you capture an audience, I think as an author, depending on, what it is that you want to portray, you have that obligation to give them something, not just entertainment, but something to think about, I know I myself as a writer, I try to have some type of lesson learned because that's what life is about,
And it is. So,
so I commend you on that. I'm going to go to the line for a moment and see if we have a caller who is either want to speak with you. They have their hand up, so hold on for 1 second.
Okay.
I'm going to go to area code 973. I'm going to say the first part of the number, 672. You're on the air from Heart and Soul with author Kimberla Lawson Roby. Who am I speaking with?
My name is Carol.
Good afternoon, Carol. How are you?
Carol.
I am fine, and I have read every one of her books.
Oh,
every last one. And I love them. And the best one, I think, is Behind Closed Doors.
Well, I appreciate that. You saw like my best friend, Kelly, she is in Atlanta, but we've been best friends since we were 6 years old, and that still is one of her favorites.
That is my favorite one of yours, and it was like I was there, and I was like, get him,
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that's always something that really, really warms my heart. It makes me feel good because that was the first book, and so that's your baby when you first start out.
That really is my favorite one of yours.
It
really is. I read everything. Everything. I love reading.
Wonderful.
And you're one of my favorite authors. I buy everything you write.
Well, I appreciate that very much so.
You're more than welcome because you're a good writer.
Will you be picking up her new book that drops tomorrow, Be Careful What You Pray For?
I really am. In fact, I'm going to order it tonight.
Well, thank you. I do hope you enjoy it.
I hope I will. I know I will.
Well, do you have other questions for the author?
No, except that Terry McMillan is one of my favorite writers also.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like her, and I think she was the reason for the black explosion. I really do.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
There were some black authors before her, a long time before her, but they didn't go over quite as well as, like you said, she talks like she's sitting right, like she's your girlfriend.
Yes, yes.
You know? But there were a number of black writers that tried it and they didn't make it. They were, I don't know, too flat or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, we have been talking about the state of black publishing and really just meaning, you know, so many black authors. There was this huge explosion, as you said, and all because of Terry McMillan when we start talking about the mid to late 90s and into the new millennium. And so unfortunately, so many of them, you know, the sales weren't what they needed to be. And with publishing, this is a business, and so they weren't offered new contracts. And now we're hearing a new wave of writers who are saying, well, they're being offered new contracts, but it's so minimal, they've got to decide whether they're going to continue or not. And so, you know, you hate that. I hate hearing that. That really saddens me, but, you know, it's just not as many authors around as it was, say, even 10 years ago.
Right, but there were, like, she's a street writer, but not like some of these street writers they have out now. She is more, I don't know, family orientated, or
and you're right. That's exactly what I would say. And so, you know, most any woman is going to enjoy reading her work, and it doesn't matter if you're 18 or 80. And so I think that does make a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You can give the book to your daughter, you know, and say, read this. And some of these street books out here now, you just can't do that. You know, I mean, when they get older, if they want to read them, it's fine. But, you know, there's an age where you just can't give a book to your daughter with some of these writers.
This is true. This is true. Well, Carol, I want to thank you for calling in from New Jersey, and I hope you will stay with us and listen to the rest of the show.
I certainly will.
Ms. Roby will be reading an excerpt coming up soon from her latest book. And again, thank you for coming on the line.
Oh, I don't want to hear it.
Well, what about this? Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll just read just a little bit of the very first couple of pages.
Okay.
Then I won't give you anything away. So.
Okay, because you'll make me go to the end of that book, and then I'll have to...
Thanks again, Carol.
Thank you so much.
And you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. All right, I want to take one more caller right quick just to let them speak to Ms. Roby, and then we're going to proceed. I'm going to go to area code 757-366. Who do we have on the line, and welcome to the show?
Well, this is Veronica McMillan, one of the Black Pearls. Sarah, you know I'm just as happy as I can be to hear you on, and I'm just so proud of it. I want to say that, and then to ask Ms. Roby about what was her take on when Elin Harris passed.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm sure that world was really devastated over the fact of his passing.
Exactly. I mean, completely devastated. And, you know, for me, Elin was a personal friend, so it affected me personally, and then certainly affected me professionally because he just, you know, was one of the greats. You know, when you talk about mainstream, you know, commercial fiction and the type of fiction that we're talking about, you know, I just consider him to be the father, the godfather, really, in that industry. You know, Terry McMillan, the godmother, if you will, and him, the godfather. And so, you know, he will be very, very missed. Already just thinking about the fact that he has another book with another publisher that he had signed with for a one-book deal. They're bringing that out this summer, that will be the last one. And that makes me sad just to think about it. I mean, but he has really, you know, left such a wonderful legacy. He lived a great life. He was one of the nicest people that you would have ever wanted to meet. And I say that sincerely. It wouldn't matter if you just knew him personally or if you were one of his readers. You were always the most important person in his life. He made sure you knew that. And he was always second. He never put himself, you know, before any of his readers or before any of his friends and family and the people that he cared about. So it's a great, great loss for all of us.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, I just wanted to call in and wish my friend well. We're so proud of her and what she's doing in terms of the Black Pearls and bringing high-caliber authors and just Sarah personally, I can just put this down. I know this is not about Sarah, but I just want to just shout out and say that she is one of a kind in terms of people, and I'm just so proud of you. I just wanted to say that to you. I was clicking like, okay, I got to call in as quick as I can. So anyhow, I just say speak love to you both, and you both take care.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for calling in, and please stay on the line and listen. Thank you again. And I have to say that was a very good friend. Her name's Veronica, and she does a lot of wonderful work in the community in Virginia.
Wonderful.
Help young ladies and young men. And that's what our show is about. This is Black Pearl Radio, for women, about women. And that's why we bring on women such as yourself, Kimberla, no matter what type of business they're doing, just to showcase their gift, their purpose in being able to help others. So we're glad to have you today. Tell us about your new book that drops tomorrow. Give us some inkling on what to expect, please.
Well, it is, of course, the title is Be Careful What You Pray For, and it is my 14th book, but it is also the 7th book in my Reverend Curtis Black series, which, no matter how many books or types of books I write, that's still what people kind of connect me with is the Reverend Curtis Black. That has been a popular series since the first book, Casting the First Stone, came out in 2000, and so I've just sort of continued with it over the last 10 years. And so this book, though, actually is the second one about his firstborn child, Alicia, and she is marrying for the second time. She had the first husband, Philip, who was perfect by many women's standard, would be by any woman's standard, and he just didn't earn enough money for her because Alicia has grown up in a very wealthy household. Her father has always given her everything. Even when she was in college, he paid her credit card bills, and so she's used to the good life. And so even though her husband earns $80,000 a year and he serves as the assistant pastor to her dad, and her father, her mom, her stepmom, everybody loves him, it's just not enough for her. And so because of that and because of the greed and because of the selfishness, she goes looking for all the wrong things in all the wrong places, and so the marriage, just really doesn't have a chance because of it. In this story, she's still hoping and praying for a very wealthy man, and that's exactly what she gets. And so in Pastor J.T. Valentine, she marries him about 6-7 months after she meets him. He has a membership at his church of 5,000. He earns well into the six figures, more closer to 7, and so he gives her everything. I mean, he really is just what she would consider to be the perfect husband. I finally have everything. I have love, and I also have the material things as well, but what she doesn't know is he is more consumed with power and money and lots of women, even more so than her father ever was, and so that's where all their problems begin. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds so interesting. Okay, so you've led us into that. Now, we all want to hear you read it. There's nothing like hearing the author read her version of the story. It really helps us, get the picture. So please honor us with a little extra, please.
So I've kind of told you about some of the drama to come. So this will give you an idea. This is when everything looks perfect, when she first meets him and thinks, wow, this is the guy for me.
Okay.
He was almost too good to be true, what with his at least 6-foot body frame, flawlessly smooth skin, coal-black wavy hair, and pearly white teeth. He somehow didn't seem real, but Alicia knew he was real because at this very moment, she was sitting directly across the table from him at one of the most upscale restaurants in downtown Chicago. He was by far one of the finest-looking men she'd ever laid eyes on, and there wasn't a woman she could think of who would disagree with her findings. The man looked that good, and if that wasn't enough, he also conveyed exceptional charisma and alluring smile and was a founder of New Life Christian Center, a 5-year-old church that already had more than 5,000 members. Yes, Pastor J.T. Valentine was the kind of man Alicia had been hoping and praying for, particularly ever since her marriage to her first husband, Philip, had ended just a few months ago, and she could barely contain herself. But since her father, stepmother, and a couple of Pastor Valentine's deacons and their wives were also dining right along with them, she took a deep breath, drank a sip of water, and coolly leaned back in her chair. Pastor Black, Pastor Valentine said, and Alicia couldn't help noticing the very elegant and obviously tailor-made suit he was wearing. I just want to thank you again for agreeing to come speak at our church this morning. Your words were even more powerful than the last time I heard you deliver a sermon, and I hope you'll consider blessing us with your presence again sometime in the future. I would be happy to, and I'm glad you were satisfied with what I had to share today. Pastor Valentine chuckled. Satisfied isn't even the word. you have been the one man I've truly looked up to for a very long time, even before I accepted my call into the ministry. So having you accept